We're live.
Good evening. We're going to call the regular meeting to order. It is now 7 o'clock. Requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met. This meeting was advertised in the Burlington County Times on January the 6th, 2023. An electronic notice was given to the NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley.
Present.
Committeeman Carr.
Present.
Committeewoman Mungo. Committeewoman Wright.
Present.
Mayor Henley.
Present.
Also present, Township Solicitor, Township Administrator, Police Chief.
We will now read a proclamation for Fire Prevention Month. Whereas Fire Prevention Week was established to commemorate the Great Chicago Fire of October 1871 that killed more than 250 people, left 100,000 homeless, and destroyed more than 17,400 structures and burned 2,000 acres. Whereas on the 40th anniversary of the Fire Marshal Association decided that the anniversary should be observed in a way that would keep the public informed about the importance of fire prevention. Whereas the Fire Prevention Week has had a theme each year since 1920. This year's theme is Prevent Kitchen Fires. More fires start in the kitchen than any other area of the home. And the purpose is to emphasize the simple actions we can all take to remain safe while preparing food. That includes being alert while cooking and turning off the stove if leaving the kitchen is necessary. Keeping anything that can catch fire away from stovetops, turning pie handles toward the back of the stove, and keeping the lid nearby. Whereas West Hampton Township is lucky to have dedicated staff and volunteers to protect and educate our citizens. And the West Hampton Township Committee thanks our fire and emergency staff and volunteers for their commitment to our residents and township. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, West Hampton Township, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Fire Prevention Month. We encourage our community members to join us in honoring those we have lost in these catastrophes. Remain vigilant to prevent future fires from occurring. Vow to support those who rush into danger to help us in times of need, and recommit to spreading awareness about the importance of fire safety. Is that catastrophe?
Catastrophes?
Catastrophe? Oh, my God. Now we'll get to the approval of minutes. October 3rd, 2023, executive session minutes. Do you have a motion?
So moved, Berkeley.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
October 3rd, 2023, regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Berkeley move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to compliment our Wendy because she was not able to get the video to take the correct exact minutes, and she did a very good job with just her notes and her memory. So, very good job.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Monthly reports of construction, police, public works, court, and fire and EMS. We will now open the meeting to public for public comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is for comment only. It is not intended as a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your contact information on the podium so we can respond appropriately. on the agenda items?
Right.
Yes.
I always feel like I'm up at the wrong time. Kelly Gian Scott, 3 Valley Farm Road. I wanted to just say that the Green Acres funding that's up for approval, I hope that we are considering that for the ground across from where I live on Valley Farm Road for the warehousing. And I know we had talked to you guys before about that, and I appreciate you putting it together and applying for it, I guess, right? That's what you have to do, apply for the Green Acres funding. So we're all appreciative that you heard us and that we're moving forward with it. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Terrence Brown, 9 Pine Tree Drive. My question is pertaining to the corrective action plan for the 2022 audit. I kind of want to know, like, was there any type of consultation for these recommendations or the corrective action plan? And if so, will that be disclosed to the public so we can see? Because it seemed like there was a lot of internal control issues, and I want to know if there was any consultation to see whether these are process issues related to, it says that some related to overturning staff or, employees not submitting, invoices or things, but, what checks and balances are in place. So I would like to see, how did we come up with these recommendations of the corrective action plan, and when will these softwares be put in place to help going forward? Thank you so much.
Close for public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 150-23, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through 10/17/2023. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for 150-23, payment of vouchers.
Second. Go ahead.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of the availability of funds, and any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda.
Move Berkeley.
A second.
Roll call?
I don't have one I don't want to poll, but I have a question on C, resolution affirming West Hampton Township civil rights policies. I was curious, I went back to our ordinances to see what we have for harassment and civil rights, and the only thing I found was something that related to sexual harassment. And this resolution certainly opens it up and includes a lot more. And I was wondering if it would be wise, once we pass this as a resolution, that we turn it into the ordinance so that it is in the ordinance book, it doesn't get lost, and it is there that people can refer to. So I think it was,
My understanding is we do this every year, right? Like it's something that we have to do legally.
Yeah, it's required by the GIF as part of the EPL. It's an employee program. I'm sorry, I can't remember what the acronym stands for. The township was advised by the Labor Council on this, but essentially, it has a checklist of things that have to be done every other year in order for the township to qualify for the EPL program. If you meet everything on the checklist, which includes passing of this resolution, and this resolution is specifically written by the GIF, then you are eligible for reduced deductible and also eligible for dividends if there are any dividends. I believe that the purpose behind having it done as a resolution is so that the committee then sitting is reminded of these policies on an annual or biannual. Whereas if it's in an ordinance, yes, you're correct, it's there for eternity, but it's not necessarily revisited on a periodic basis.
Thank you. Is this then the JIF handbook? Is that what this is coming from?
Yeah, the JIF handbook is...
Employee handbook?
Yes, it's slightly different. This is the adoption and update of the JIF handbook is another requirement on that checklist. On biannual basis, the JIF recommends changes based on changes of law over that period of time to the handbook.
Okay, now the harassment talked about volunteers and employees and anyone related. Does that also apply to township committee members who might be harassed?
Yes, it would.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call?
Barclay.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
We now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is for comment only. It is not intended as a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your contact information on the podium so that we can respond appropriately. I was about to say, Gary ain't here. The Phillies are about to play. I knew he wouldn't be here.
So, Robert Thorpe, 222 Olive Street, Rancocas Village. In regards to the Green Acres funding, I want to say a big thank you to you, Mr. Mayor, to the rest of the township, to our township employees, our administrator. I know none of this is easy, and just helping out the people and doing it. And I know this is the first step, and I'm hoping that this will move forward and that we can really do everything humanly possible, which this sounds like the perfect track to protect our historic village. If this happens, and which I surely hope it does, I think this is great for West Hampton, and I think it also sets precedent in New Jersey that historic preservation is important. And I want to thank every single one of you for getting on this, because I know this is not easy, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Rebecca McGrath, 226 Main Street. I'm not even going to go there because we don't need to keep repeating ourselves, but thank you. We really need to patrol the streets in Rancocas. Like the trucks, the speeders, all of it. It is crazy. I can tell you that I grew up the next town over. I drove through Rancocas my entire life as a place where I was like, oh, wouldn't it be neat to live there? And there was always a cop there. Always. And to be honest with you, once this building got built, they stopped. That's the truth of it. You didn't drive more than 27 down Main Street because you'd get pulled over. And the people who live there don't drive more than 27 because our kids are walking down the street and there are no sidewalks. So I know we've had video circulating with the tractor trailer that got stuck at Main Street and Bridge. It's obviously an issue. I know, Mr. Mayor, you were there and saw some of this firsthand. It's an issue. Whether there's signs or not, there's still going to be trucks, but if there's a cop, it'll stop. So that's it.
Fair enough.
Terrence Brown, 9 Pine Tree Drive, West Hampton. My comment would be towards the civil rights resolution. It seemed to me that, what protection does the voters have when you come in towards this resolution of civil rights? It seems to be that this resolution right here protects you as a township, as employees, but how does this, relate to individuals from voters actually coming and asking questions? Because, one of the statements that I hear you make when you read, Mr. Mayor, is that, hey, this is not a question and answer period. So that makes me feel like, as a voter, none of my questions are going to be answered. Yes, the administrator does call you and follow up at a later time, but as a person, it seems like this civil rights resolution protect you as a township, but it does not give the voters the right to hold the people who they're electing to be accountable. There's these protections, about your civil liberties and all this type of thing, but what rights does the taxpayers have when they want to come and get things about the warehouses and questions about, speed bumps and things like that? I think that, I don't know if it's a question for the township or the lawyer, but, could it be considered harassment because, hey, we're asking you a question about, the warehouses, like, hey, who made these suggestions, or, who asked you to put this bill forward and things like that. It could seem like, that could be harassment. So, to me, that's concerning when you put in a policy or resolution in play like that. It's like, hey, we're protecting ourselves from being accountable. And, I think that's a question maybe for the lawyer, if that's the intent of this resolution, or maybe that's not the intent of this resolution. Maybe, the administrator can follow up with that and let me know, what is the intent versus, because it could be considered harassment if people just keep, hounding you, Mr. Mayor, about, hey, the virtual property or anything like that, So those are, that's one of my questions about, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Cindy Luongo, 122 Bridge Street, Rancocas. Thank you for considering the Green Acres discussions. I know we don't want to repeat ourselves too much, but I know a lot of people come to complain, and I want to really reiterate that we're grateful that you're going this route. And thank you for the signs that were put up. Hopefully we can enforce them, but that's a great first step as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Trina Wakely, 200 Main Street, Rancocas Village. Coming here to this meeting tonight, tractor trailer was turning off of Main Street onto Bridge Street right behind us. And living on Main Street, I could tell you early mornings, because they wake me up every morning, and usually at night. That's when they definitely are doing a lot of action, just let you know.
Thank you,
Thanks.
ma'am.
Deb Conroy, 220 Bridge Street in Rancocas. I'm wondering if it's possible to put a police car that's not manned in the township, on this street once in a while, because I know that when I see it in other areas, it does make people think and slow down, so that if we can't put somebody there, maybe we could do that. Thank you.
And again, I thank you for everything you do to try to protect the green.
That's not a terrible idea. I mean, now that I know that one car doesn't have anybody in there, I zoom right past, but for the first part. Oh, yeah.
Todd Lee, 200 Bridge Street, Rancocas. I was with Trina tonight when the tractor trailer pulled behind us. We see tractor trailers almost every day in Rancocas. The signs are great. We appreciate it. We also appreciate the thought of the Green Acres. I'm wondering myself, is it all 3 parcels, or is it just the warehouse area that you're considering for Green Acres? I hope it's all 3. That would be amazing. We need more green space. Thank you.
Now closed for public comment. All in favor? Next Township Committee meeting will be November 21st at 7 p.m. Historic Commission, August 25th at 7 p.m. Land Development Board meeting will be November 1st at 7 p.m. Recreation Committee meeting will be November 8th at 7 p.m. Coffee with a Cop is at 711 on Wood Lane Road, October 24th from 9 to 11. Trunk or Treat, October 28th at West Hampton Middle School from 3 to 5. Do we have any committee liaison reports or comment?
Mr. Mayor, the school yesterday and today is having a strategy meeting all day long for planning after they've taken all the surveys and they've met the people. There are people on the Board of Education, there are people who work for the school and parents that are in this planning strategy meeting. And it, like I said, it's 2 full days. I would like to give some credit where credit's due. Our attorney, Mr. Bob Wright, has been a big help in trying to get this Green Acres going and talking to Mr. Dolan and coming up with ideas. So I want to give him a little kudos because he has done a great job with that. I was wondering, as people were up there and trying to put down their notes real quick or not put down their notes, if I've seen in other places where we have 3x5 cards, and if someone knows that they're going to make a comment or ask a question, they could get a 3x5 card and fill it out when they're at their seat, and then when they come up to make their comment, they can just drop off the 3x5 card. It saves a lot of time than trying to stand up there and write what you would like to say. And finally, last meeting, I asked to have a report from our Public Works Director on the supply company that we have hired for things like cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, and they come in once or twice a week. And it seems like, in my opinion, hiring a middleman to do something like that just adds cost to it. And I've heard some things from other townships that they're not real happy with this company. And again, I would like to ask that we would get a report from our Public Works Director on what has happened the first half of the year with this company. Thank you.
Question. Have you sent, this is kind of what I do, and I don't know that, obviously this is a suggestion. I would send Chris an email. So then you know that you sent them a timestamped email, and then he'd want to reply to you. So I would send him an email.
Me? I was on the impression we weren't supposed to send emails to employees.
No, you can send an email to whoever you like.
Okay. You heard that here.
Yeah. Well, so what stated before is we don't want to, so what townships are careful with doing is if you have an administrator who is their leader, you don't want to offer leadership things to go over top because then they're getting direction from 2 different people and that causes an issue. But if you have a question like, can you help me with this? What I would do is I would send him an email and then CC the administrator. So then you're kind of checking both boxes. That's just a suggestion.
I'm just trying to get...
But I wouldn't be like, you know what, Chris? You probably could do a better job with... That's just my 2 cents.
Mr. Mayor, on Public Works note, GovPilot is live for our residents, so if there's issues that you'd like to report, you can go through that app to report it. You can go on the website, I think it's on the construction tab, or download that.
It's on the homepage.
Correction, on the homepage now. I think Chris is doing a great job with the Public Works. Picked up a lot of brush this past cycle. Another note, I really appreciate all the residents coming out and giving suggestions, comments on the chicken ordinance. I look forward to the Township Committee reintroducing that next month. I really appreciate all the education and oversight for responsible ownership of poultry. I think it's a good step back in our direction of agricultural roots and farming history and allowing everybody to participate in that. I also support our reaffirmation of civil rights. That's, again, in our Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey, as well as codified in the United States Code. And I appreciate Ms. Gibson, Mr. Wright, and the Township Committee, Committeewomen Berkeley, Wright, Mungo, Mayor Henley on the Green Acres funding. And I think that's an important piece of land in West Hampton. I like driving by there and looking over that land in Rancocas Village, so I really support that. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I would like to thank the residents for coming out, and it was very pleasant today to see so many smiles on everyone's face. So thank you so much. Thank you for bearing with us, and thank you for your suggestions, and we really appreciate it.
So, I tend to be slightly longer than everyone else, but no, I wanted to thank the residents for coming out. Why is because, you know, when I first came in here, just to be honest, it was probably about 6:50. I'm like, where's everybody at? Like, if there's a warehouse talk, this place is full. And, you know, but I appreciate you guys showing your appreciation for the effort, right? And it's funny that Janelle would say that because, like, Janelle's been on, what now, since January, right? And most of the conversations have been what we don't try to do. So for her to get a glimpse of, you know, us having some success, of us trying to do whatever we can, and just in multiple ways, like even the sign, or even now that we're talking about the Green Acre Fund, like, so you kind of get to see, like, to pull the curtain back, to see a little bit of, like, where the efforts really kind of go, and to show appreciation, like spending into the Green Acre part of it. Like, the Green Acre Fund was around. The people who kind of discovered it was Wendy and Bob, and then funneling it down to us, and then us kind of working with it. So I would say it was truly a team effort to try to get something done. There's not one or two people who can take any credit for something. That everyone really worked hard together. If there's anything that we can all take a part of or take credit for, is the fact that we were wise enough to put some of these people in place to be able to help this town. Now that I will take credit for. And, you know, and it's always the saying, right? Like, it's comforting that people care about West Hampton who don't live in West Hampton, right? There's obviously an appeal that Bob or Wendy or the people who work in this building who don't live here, that they have to West Hampton, that they are ready to lay down on the tracks and get things done. Now, they may not be boisterous about it, but if you walk through the building and you talk to people one-on-one, obviously they have their gripes, like, well, why we don't have this day off? But aside from that, they understand that we're here really for the residents to do the best that we can. Now, are we always successful? No, but you should believe and trust that we're always trying to do the best that we can as a collective group. So thank you for that. I would say about the action plan, I don't know if it's, you know, if Mr. Brown was asking about us being protected, if we're harassed, but I think that, you know, people asking questions or people calling or emailing, I think that's part of the whole thing, right? Like, the voters have a voice on November 7th, and then they can use their voice for that. And then as far as if they have an open format to be able to talk to everyone, I don't know that there's someone who called me that I've never called back, good, bad, or indifferent. And believe me, there's been some bad and indifferent more than the good, but I think that that's part of the whole thing, to be honest with you, and to be able to express where we're coming from on a one-on-one basis. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I don't feel like any conversation, and there's been some bad and different again, but has been harassment. I think it's all part of what we're up here for, as far as representing our town and being able to be able to be touched, right? Like, to be able to be talked to go to the Wawa and somebody pull you to the side, or one of the 18 Wawas, but the Wawa nonetheless, or riding. I think people have seen me ride my bike through, like, neighborhoods and then stopping and talking to people, or stopping at garage sales, which I'm pretty big with that too, but to be able to have conversations with people, and I think that that's really what makes us a special group. With that being said, we're going to go into executive session. So resolution number 1017, 2023, resolution authorizing the Township Committee and support staff to meet in private session and authorizing the exclusion of the public from the portion of the meeting dealing with specific issues and requiring non-public discussion, attorney-client privilege, personnel. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
And again, I thank you all for coming out. I do appreciate seeing all your smiling faces, and hopefully we can do that again sometime soon, fingers crossed. And listen, go Phillies.
Have a good night.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have an order, but I gotta say this, I think we're all,
You're welcome. Word, arrest that man. Stop, you gotta sign the bill.
Okay.